Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to part 5 of the series of the hidden meaning / symbology of Scripture. Now, if you haven't seen 1 through 4, I suggest y'all go check that out. If you new to the series, I've been breaking down the allegory or the symbology of Scripture. Now, last time we left off on Jacob's ladder and how Jacob's ladder actually represents the spine. And the angels that's coming up and down the ladder was actually this oil or this angle of light that is secreted from the brain, and it goes all the way down the spine into the hip area. Now, I also talked about how, the land flowing with milk and honey, which is Israel, which is in the skull, which Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and he came face to face with God. He called this place Peniel. Now, when he came face to face with God, he called this place Peniel. That represents the pineal gland. In order for you to come face to face with God, you have to unfold the pineal gland. That's Christ. Now, the corpus callosum is what secretes this oil, but it goes down into 2 glands, which is Joseph and Mary. Excuse me. This is the land flowing with milk and honey. This is why Jacob's name was changed to Israel, the land flowing with milk and honey. Remember, there was 12 lost tribes. Those 12 lost tribes represents the 12 cranial nerves. So it was talking about what goes on in your head. This is why Jacob, it talked about how he used a stone pillow as his head, which represents the skull, and he put oil on there. It was talking about what goes on inside the brain. So the colostrum is known to secrete this holy oil or sacred oil, or it give us a sacred gift. And this is the story of Santa Claus. Before there was a Santa Claus, they took the story of what goes on inside of us and turned it upside down like they usually do. They take everything that goes on inside of us and they just turned it upside down. So before there was a Santa Claus, before there was a Krampus, before Saturnalia, it was this. They took the story and turned it upside down, and either they made it to something evil or they personified it, which the story got lost in translation. So let me read to y'all what Santo Bonacacci said. He said, the fluid that are found in these bodies comes, which he's talking about the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the milk and honey. He says that it comes from the same source, which is the colostrum, which means a barrier or cloister. He says it's called the cloister for a good reason, because it have a precious holy oil that's being secreted there. Then it says Santa Claus or Santa Claus is another term for this precious fluid, which is a holy gift in the body for each and one of us. So all our bodies secrete this oil. So when the Bible was talking about tithing 10%, this is what they was talking about. All you have to do is tithe 10% of this oil to activate your pineal gland. The person who said they're going to give 10% back to God was Jacob. Now, it says Jacob makes this vow after God appears to him in a dream and promised to be with him, protect him, and bring him back to the land of promise. Jacob responds by vowing to give God 1/10 of everything he received. Excuse me. They talking about this oil. They ain't talking about no money. Your church lied to you. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing that's physical or literal. It's talking about this oil that's inside your brain, man. When you properly raise this oil up, that's the resurrection. When you properly raise it up, and it goes into the pineal gland after it's been crucified for 2.5 days or 3 days in the medulla oblongata, it shoots up and unfolds the pineal gland. That's how you connect with God. That's what tithing is really about. Anytime you see tithing, you got to know thyself. This is why most people, it don't register to them, because they don't know themselves, and they don't understand the allegories. But anytime you see tithing, you're going to see seed. The seed is this oil that I just explained to y'all. You're going to see herd, which are sheep, which are ram. Sheep's ram, same thing. Lamb, sheep, ram, all the same thing. This represents the head, man. That's Aries. Aries is the head of the zodiac sign. It's simple. You're going to see all. You're going to see gates. These gates is inside of your head. You're going to see Israel. I just explained to y'all what Israel. You're going to see house of God. This is the house of God. Anytime you see tent, you're going to see waters. That's the CSF, the cerebral spinal fluid. Anytime you see pillars, that's the spinal column. Israel, lamb. Lamb is the head, man. Israel's inside your head, bro. So let's get back on topic. This oil goes up and down your spine. Jacob's ladder. The spine represents also Jesus dying at the age of 33, which you got 33 vertebrae. I got to keep saying that so it can stick in your head. I mean, repetition is the key. So this oil go up and down your spine through what is known as the semilunar ganglion, which connects to the pneumogastric nerve through the medulla oblongata. And right in that area is the cross section that the Bible talks about Jesus being crucified. Just in case you forgot, the medulla is the cross section. This is where Jesus was crucified at. Remember, Christ means oil, smeared with oil. The pineal gland secretes an oil along with the pituitary gland. And it is sent to the medulla through the what is known as the semilunar ganglia, which is the fifth cranial nerve. It travels through that and it connects to the medulla, and then it is baptized by what is known as the CSF, the cerebral spinal fluid. That is John. John is the cerebral spinal fluid. The cerebral spinal fluid baptized the brain, bathes the brain in the spine. And it's a clear liquid that protects the brain. Also, it cleans out waste and etc., etc. It's an electrical charged liquid. This is known as the river of life. This is what John baptized Jesus in, or Christ in. So you have two channels known as the pingata and idol nerve that goes down your spine like a serpent. This is what the Bible was talking about when it was talking about the serpent being on the tree. It was talking about your spine. Your spine is the tree of life, along with the nervous system. Let me show y'all a picture, bro. Show y'all what I'm talking about, man. So the serpent was on what? The tree of knowledge of good and evil, which represents masculine and feminine energy, duality, yin and yang. You have something called a pingata and idol nerve that goes down your spine. That's the tree of life. That is known as the Kundalini energy. This is energy, man. This is forces that's inside of you that they talking about. They wasn't talking about no literal place. So the serpent told Eve to do what? Eat the apple. The apple represents a seed. The seed comes from what? Ejaculation, when you have sex. And when you ejaculate, what happens? You get tired. You get lethargic. That's sin. You drop down in consciousness. You fell from a high place. That's what they talking about, bro. Maybe I hit my head last night, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but let's look up the strong concordant definition of Eden. Now, it says pleasure. It also says a place in the Mesopotamian area, but they wasn't talking about no geographic location. So it leads you to an underlined word over here, H5727, which leads you to over here, which is pronounced
Strong's H5727, Adan,
which means to be soft or pleasant. Last time I checked, when I have sex, that shit feel pleasant. And after that, I get soft. And it says figuratively and reflectively. What does reflectively mean? It says as a reflex without conscious thought or automatically. Last time I checked, that bad boy do what he want. He do what he want. That's what they talking about, man. They talking about sex. Well, more so they talking about releasing semen than sex. I got to make sure that I clear that up. 'Cause I don't want people to think that sex is a sin, because it's not. Now let's keep going. It said to live voluptuous. Let's go look the word voluptuous up, because I don't know what that word means. I don't know it all. That's why I go look shit up. You should do the same. This is why people get lost in the South, because they don't do this. But it means of or pertaining to desire or appetite, full of pleasure, delightful, enjoyment, satisfaction, pleasurable. Last time I checked, when I have sex and ejaculate, that shit is enjoyable. That shit is satisfying. Feel good. Let's go look up. It says delight self. Let's go look up delight. Delight means a high degree of pleasure or satisfaction. Also, it means sexual desire. Your desire. I don't make this shit up, bro. They talking about not really sex, but you ejaculate. Sex wasn't the issue. It was that they had sex and relieved themselves. They ate of the tree. They ate of the seed. That semen. They relieved themselves. Anytime you relieve yourself, you are giving up your life force energy, which causes you to drop down in conscious level or vibration. You get tired, you get lethargic. So you drop down from a higher realm to a lower realm. So when they did that, they understood what it is to be human. So since they did that, that gives them the knowledge of good and evil. The serpent throughout ancient times been known, before Christianity, been known as a serpent of wisdom, knowledge, fertility. Look this up for yourself, bro. The Abrahamic religion are the only people who believe that the serpent only represents a trickster or a symbol of sexual desire and a physical representation of evil. But in ancient times, it didn't only represent that. It also represent protection, healing, reproduction, fertility, rebirth, and renewal. Every ancient culture knew this. So there's two sides to this. That's why it's a tree of good and evil. It's your views. So when you read scripture, it tells you that it's about fertility. But it went over most people's head because they don't understand allegory. It's like the pharmaceutical industry. They have a symbol of a serpent going up and down a rod, which represents the Kundalini energy going up and down your spine. As you can see, the wings, which is the cherubim, which represents the left and right hemisphere. So anytime the Bible talking about the cherubim, it's talking about your brain. So is it good or is it evil? Well, based on my research and based on the definitions and based on what I know, they evil. They ain't here to heal us. They are here to destroy us. They using drugs to destroy us, to put us under a spell. That's why you constantly keep taking medication. It never cures you or heal you. All they do is weaken you, put you under a spell. Now let's go. It's poisoning you. Now let's go read the definition real quick. We can run through the definition real quick. The pharmaceutical industry is a company that prepare drugs. And if you keep reading down there, it said prepare of drugs, poisoner. Then it got another word that's attached to it, which is pharmacy. Pharmacy is a medicine that rid the body of excess of humors, except blood. Treatment with medication. Theory of treatment with medicine. But when you keep going, it says a healing or harmful medicine. Most of the medicines are harmful to the human body because it's not organic. It says a healing or poisonous herb, a drug, a poisonous potion, magic, dye, raw material. But if we keep reading, it says a preparer of drugs, a poisoner, a sorcerer, a drug poison, a filter, I don't know what that is, a charm, a spell, or enchantment. So 9 times out of 10, they putting you under a spell when you take the medication. That's why when you look at people who under drugs, they look like they under a spell. They under a charm. So we got to understand how the symbol is being used in this context. In this context, it's being used to destroy you because they're using chemicals and not organic compounds. So in scripture, they use it as a symbol of what goes on inside of you, which will be, and in the context of the Bible, the symbol of the serpent was not talking about something evil or something that's tricking us or manipulating us. It was talking about fertility. It was talking about reproduction. It was talking about sex, man. It's in the context. This is why I said you got to know thyself, and it'll all make sense. Now, before God kicked them out, this is what he said in Genesis 3:15. He said, and I will put enmity, which means an enemy, something hostile, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, which is your offspring, your seedman, and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. We've been talking about the whole time. We've been talking about the head the whole time. This is heaven. So crown chakra and heel represents root chakra, which means earth. When they was kicked out of Eden, they roamed the earth. You got to know this, man. This is why I said you got to study 3:16, because 3:16 put it on the plate and put it on the platter for you. And like, here you go. I hope you get it. So let's read it. It says, unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. Last time I checked, conception means the act of conceiving in the womb. So it says, in sorrow, thou shalt bring forth children, and thou desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Pretty much, they trying to tell you that, yes, this was all about sex, semen, and Kundalini energy. But since people don't know thyself, they take it for something else. Contrary to popular belief, Adam and Eve got their freak on. And they understood what it was to be a human, knowing good and evil. So God had to kick them out because they took on flesh. And you can't be in the kingdom when you in the fleshly body. So tomorrow we're going to be explaining how Jesus was born of a virgin. All of this have everything to do with what goes on inside of you. With everything that have to do with what goes on inside the brain and inside of the body. With that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow. I hope y'all enjoy part 5. Tomorrow we're going to be coming back with part 6. Peace.